Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. I would like to inform the children that you are being live streamed right now. You may tell your parents and friends that you are live streamed at https www.facebook.com American Digit Production. Okay.
Honorable panelists, and I will call the names out in turn as they are sitting here. Dr. Huma Bakai. Next to her is Amina Sayyed. Next to her is Professor Jafar Ahmed. Then we have Jimmy Engineer. And last we have Mr. Mushtaq Chapra. Oh, sorry, as Arif Belgami. So we have 6 panelists today. He and I are not panelists. We are not as learned as you people are. Anyway, so a warm welcome to our panelists in the first instance. Thank you all for being with us today and sharing your thoughts and knowledge on Mr. Jinnah with us and everybody in this audience. The next people we have to thank are the parents and the teachers who are here, who come to this event. And lastly, the students of schools, senior students of schools who have joined us today. A big hand for them. We hope to make this event as informative for you as possible, but there is something which I cannot but say. The only newspaper in Pakistan which has carried a page on Mr. Jinnah is the Jung. They have devoted a full page to Mr. Jinnah and they deserve a big round of applause. I have not seen any other newspaper carrying a supplement of this nature, except Dawn has her editorial written by the editorial board. It says Jinnah is Jinnah. I read that. It was interesting and I suggest you read it as well. Now, ladies and gentlemen, I will first briefly introduce the panel and then go on to say a few words which I would like to talk to you about Jinnah myself on a very small aspect. So I've given you the names of the panelists who are here. We have Mr. Mushtaq Chapra. He is the founder of the well-known Kidney Center in Pakistan. He also established the Patients Age Foundation at Jinnah Postgraduate Medical Center and is the chairman of the executive committee. He co-founded the Citizens Foundation, TCF, a civil society non-profit organization with a mission to provide primary and secondary education to students in Pakistan. And they have hundreds of schools now across the country. And lastly, his efforts were recognized by the government of Pakistan when he was conferred with Sitar-e-Imtiyaz in 2017 by the President of Pakistan. I categorize Mushtaq Chapra as probably the biggest philanthropist in this country. The next sitting next to him is Jimmy Engineer, Pakistan's most...
No, next to him is...
Arif, you get hidden every time I look at you. Okay.
Shadow of Jimmy Engineer.
I know, shadow of Jimmy, yes. Okay, the next to him is Mr. Arif Belgaumi. Mr. Arif Belgaumi is a practicing architect based in Karachi. He is also an adjunct faculty member in the Department of Architecture at the Indus Valley School of Architecture. He is a very active advocate for environmental causes, especially as they relate to human habitation and conservation of urban green spaces, which I'm sure is dear to all of you. So warm welcome, Arif. I'm glad you joined us. How he's going to link up architecture with Mr. Jinnah, it'll be interesting to note. Right, sitting next to him, I was on Jimmy Engineer, wasn't I? Yes. Jimmy Engineer, the artist and social worker. He has broken all barriers of caste and creed and truly defined multi-ethnicity through his art and altruism. His love and compassion for the downtrodden is reflected in his art. His paintings are housed in a private collection in over 60 countries. He has painted 3,000 paintings, about 1,000 abstract and over 1,000 calligraphies and over 1,500 drawings and 700,000 prints on canvas. What a collection, what fantastic statistics. He has held more than 120 art exhibitions in Pakistan and abroad, and his speciality, he has led more than 200 walks for noble causes and has arranged more than 260 awareness programs for the handicapped and the orphans. Lastly, his work has been recognized. He has received 120 awards and medals of honor from Pakistan and abroad, and we salute him. Next to him is Professor Jafar Ahmed. Professor Jafar Ahmed, though, needs no introduction, but I will introduce him. He was the Dean of the Faculty of Social Sciences, Sohail University, Karachi, and Director, Institute of Historical and Social Research. He has been a Director of Pakistan Studies Center at the University of Karachi for 18 years. A renowned educationist and a public scholar, Dr. Ahmed has written extensively on politics, constitution, history, and literature. He is the author and editor of 30 books and has contributed numerous articles to various research journals. He is an authority on Pakistan and Jinnah. So we welcome you, Professor. I think the last person whom I have not mentioned is Dr. Huma Bakai. Oh yes. Another mistake on my part. I'm not going to be forgiven today, am I? Amina Sayyed. Yes, Amina Sayyed is a household name among students, teachers, and people who literature. Amina was the managing director of Oxford University Press for probably 30 years, 3 decades. In fact, she made Oxford University Press public in Pakistan. Before that, we didn't know much about OUP. She is currently the managing director of Lightstone Publishers. She created a new company after she left Oxford University Press. She has been the founder of Adab Festival, movement of literature festivals in Pakistan, and she was the one who established the Karachi Literature Festival at Karachi, which is held every year and well known. She is the founder and the author of that. She was awarded, she is the first and only Pakistani woman awarded the Most Excellent Order of the British Empire, OBE, by the British Queen. She also has the award Knight of Arts and Letters by the government of France, and lastly, a Sitare-e-Imtiaz awarded to her by the President of Pakistan. Last but not the least, we have Dr. Huma Bakai. She has many laurels to her credit, but currently she is the rector of Millennium Institute of Technology and Entrepreneurship in Karachi. She was previously an associate professor of social sciences and liberal arts, and also associate dean of Faculty of Business Administration at the famous IBA in Karachi. She works on both national and international media. She is a scholar, reviewer, author, and co-editor of 2 books titled Pakistan-Afghanistan Relations, Pitfalls and Way Forward in 2021, and Making Sense of Post-COVID-19 Politics in 2020. She has authored 29 national and international research articles published in renowned journals. She is also a content developer and certified corporate trainer. Ladies and gentlemen, that concludes the introduction of our distinguished panel of speakers today. And I am sure we will all go back home today more learned than when we entered. Coming now to the topic of the day, Mr. Jinnah. As I said, he was hardly covered in the press today. It's a matter of deep regret. And I have said this before, that nations that do not remember their founding fathers can only wind up as failed states. You must look at America. You go there, they're constantly showing you audio visuals on all their founders, all the leading presidents who founded America, starting with Abraham Lincoln, Washington, all the rest. They never forget them. It is only in our country. We are probably the only institute having a function like this for students in Karachi. Nobody else is bothered. They are quite content to forget about Mr. Jinnah. Yes, on Independence Day, we will all be out on our cars, on our motorcycles, waving the green flag as if it's a big achievement by doing that. It's good. It's good to celebrate. But it's also good to ponder and reflect on what Mr. Jinnah did for you, what he expected of you. He is under the age of 35. There is precious little that this bulk population in Pakistan know about Jinnah. We need to educate that population in Pakistan with some information regarding what was the reason behind the creation of Pakistan. What did Jinnah expect us to achieve and do? What was Jinnah's principles, ideals, and vision for Pakistan? There are books in the market, a lot of books by learned authors. But the public at large, 30% of Pakistan's population, under 35, have not read or heard any of those books. They don't know anything about it. So it is our duty to convey to them information on Mr. Jinnah, what he hoped to achieve in Pakistan. The Jinnah Society exists for this very purpose, and when the government of Sindh decided to give us control of Flagstaff House, Quaid House, it was for this very purpose that Mr. Murad Ali Shah, then Chief Minister, Ikram Saigal sitting here, and myself, along with the full backing and support of the then Corps Commander Karachi, Lieutenant General Humayun Aziz, decided that this property would be used to propagate the principles, the ideals and vision of Mr. Jinnah. For what? For a nation building exercise. That, ladies and gentlemen, is what we are all about. That is what we are all about. We want to create and build, carry on a nation building exercise to spread Jinnah's principles, ideals and vision, so that the younger generation may know more about it and we can develop a higher sense of patriotism and support for this country. Now, ladies and gentlemen, with these few words, I want to add one last contribution on my part to what these distinguished panelists are going to say on Mr. Jinnah. There's one aspect, now as we know, education was high on his priority, absolutely high. And this is why he left enormous amounts of money under his will to educational institutions, mainly to education, 6, 7 institutions. But another aspect which is very high on his priority was human rights. And I'll tell you a small anecdote. I met Gandhi's grandson, Rajmohan Gandhi, in Geneva in a conference years ago. And we were talking, chatting about there at the same conference. And he shared a secret with me. He says, when Pakistan was founded in 1947, the editor of the paper called The Hindu, which was a huge paper in India with a very wide circulation, sought and was granted an interview with Jinnah. When he interviewed Jinnah, the only question he wanted to know, okay, Mr. Jinnah, now that you become the Governor General of Pakistan, all your ambitions have been achieved. What do you now want to do further in Pakistan? You know what he said? He said, my ambition is to become the Protector General of minorities. Can you believe that? That was the Governor General of Pakistan, occupying the highest seat in this country. His ambition was to become the Protector General of minorities in Pakistan. So remember, each time there are atrocities committed against the minorities in this country, whether it be Hindus or Christians or anybody, we should hang our heads down in shame and work against it, stop it, speak out against it. Because if Jinnah is gone, the protector of minorities is gone, but we can all take on that mantle of small degree of becoming protector of minorities. So I leave that thought with you, and I'm sure the learned, eminent panelists here will have so much more to say to you. So thank you very much for being with us.
Ladies and gentlemen, I am Dr. Jafar Ahmed, and I have been given this task of moderating this program. So I'll begin by thanking Liaquat Merchant Saab, President Jinnah Society, Commodore Sadiq Saab, Secretary General of Quaid House Museum, and I thank all of you for taking time and coming here to this very, I would hope, lively discussion program. And all the more important is the fact that so many students are here. To the students, I may mention that note down in your notebooks that today you visited this place, you sat down in a building, in a hall, where Muhtarama Fatma Jinnah used to live. It's a historic place where you are sitting today. Today's program is all about the vision of Quaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah. The panelists have already been introduced to you, so I'll not go into the detailed introduction of them once again. I may just mention that as you can see for yourself, that it's a galaxy of people who represent different walks of life, and they are the people who have made their name in their respective fields. They will sort of be here. They will give their point of view on the theme I'm just going to float. And at the end of that, we will open the floor for the audience to put questions to the panel. And I will appreciate if the students ask more questions than the elders. Okay. Now, to begin with, I'll share the theme I have in mind. We want to make it quite simple. I would ask all the panelists to sort of shed light on the fact that what Jinnah means. They have taken from Mr. Jinnah in building their own careers, their own lives. So this is a very simple and open-ended theme, and I'm pretty sure that the panelists would respond to this in the 6 to 8 minutes that will be given to them. I'll begin from my own view. As I mentioned, or as has been told to you, that I'm a student of history and politics. And I discussed Jinnah in that perspective. I would say that there are 4 major things I would like to share here. First of all, I would say that this country owes itself to the efforts of Quaid Muhammad Ali Jinnah. Of course, behind him there was a big community, very mobile community. There was a political organization, but had there been no Jinnah, there wouldn't have been any Pakistan. Now, the question arises that how he did it. I mean, the creation of Pakistan owes itself to him. There should be something in his leadership that made that sort of objective a reality. Mind it, that Quaid was a very different person. He is not someone who can be stereotyped very easily. Traditionally, the Muslim leadership came in India from 2 sectors of the society. Either the Muslim leaders came from the social elite, the Nawabs, the Jagirdars, the feudals, and Maliks, so on and so forth. Or the leadership came from the religious class, the clergy of India, and there had been numerous seminaries and schools of thought who had their, respective intellectual leaders. Quaid belonged to none of the 2. He was a different person, a middle-class man who had difficult times when he was a student. He went abroad, got a very good exposure of the British parliamentary system, saw how a representative government works, which is answerable to the legislature, how the British cabinet was answerable to the House of Commons. So he learned all that. He was inspired by the liberal thinkers, Gladstone and many others. Within India, he was inspired by the ideas and what are the dynamics of democracy. When he came here, he realized that there is a big contradiction in Indian society. It is a society that was socially and culturally divided between a big majority of the Hindus and a minority of the Muslims. In the beginning, he tried to take the case of Indian nationalism without, giving any concession to the minority. In 1913, in 1914, he was saying the same thing. In 1906, when Muslim League was formed, with separate electorate as its major, demand, Quaid did not join the Muslim League. He joined it in 1913, and he joined it on the condition that I'll continue my membership of Congress, and apart from that, I'll be a member of Muslim League also. And he did so for the next 7 years till 1920. So he was someone who, and what he did in those years, he tried to bridge the gap between the minority and the majority. An article has been referred to you here. If you get time, I will be happy if you read this article in Daily Junk, in which I have narrated the whole scheme and what it had been the strategy of Quaid in all those years. Now, Quaid was of the view that if a nation is divided, or if a community is divided between a big majority and a minority without giving the minority reasonable safeguards, it will never become a nation. And he was trying to make a nation in India. that he could not do because all of his suggestions were turned down by the, I would say, stubborn leadership of All India National. The non-Muslims, that you would be the equal citizens of that country. He took pains to explain to the non-Muslim community. In my days, it was not yet known that Punjab would be divided. It was not known that Bengal would be divided. This decision was taken on the eve of partition. So had there been no division of Punjab, there would have been something like 40% non-Muslims in Pakistan in 1947. So he was quite mindful of that. But when partition took place and it accompanied the partition of Punjab and Bengal also, still there was something like 17% non-Muslims in Pakistan. Now those non-Muslims, particularly in East Pakistan, could have said that, well, Mr. Jinnah, you have been talking about two-nation theory, and on the basis of that theory you got India divided. Now we are saying that in certain districts of East Pakistan we are in majority, like in Khulna or Rajshahi or any other. So we are justified in asking for a separate homeland for ourselves. So on partition in 1947, 11th August, the very famous speech of Quaid is a blueprint for what he wanted Pakistan to be. It was a vision of Pakistan in which he very clearly not only ensured equal citizenship to the non-Muslims minorities, he in fact gave the explanation why India was divided. Unfortunately, we do not read that part of his speech. He gave two examples. He gave one example of United India, where he said that there had been this, the word he used was angularity of the majority and the minority. And he said that all our efforts to bridge the gap were frustrated. Now, there is another example of Great Britain, where there had been deep-seated differences between the Catholics and the Protestants, and there had been fights between them. But how they got out of it, he said that the state became neutral. If the state becomes neutral vis-a-vis the citizens, citizens have their right to practice their religion, whatever their religion is, but the state should remain impartial. The constitution and the laws should see the citizens from the same lens. He said, now we have these two examples and we can see what route we will have to take. And there he suggested that if you learn from that, you will see that there is no limit to your success with the passage of time. And now these are his words. The Hindus would cease to be Hindus and Muslims would cease to be Muslims. The very next sentence is a qualifier. He qualifies and says, not in the religious sense, because that is the personal faith of an individual, but as the equal citizens of the state. So I think that to me, this speech of Quaid is a path breaker. It is a vision on the basis of which we could construct Pakistan, and had we done so, we wouldn't have seen the tragedy of the separation of East Pakistan. And unfortunately, what's happening around us in this country, we have only recently saw how one religious community was treated by hooligans. Had we stuck to the vision of Quaid and had we constructed our state and built our society on the views presented by Quaid, we would be having a better life today. Even today, when so many students are sitting here, I would request you and to suggest you to go to the original writings of Quaid, original speeches of Quaid, and try to understand. I mean, don't buy that Quaid which at times the media or your Pakistan studies books are conveying to you. Quaid is something beyond that. He's a real modern democratic leader. I may at the end mention that in 1938, when Mustafa Kemal Atatürk died, Quaid Azam's statement is, eye-opener. He said that today the Muslim world has lost its biggest leader of the 20th century. On Mustafa Kemal Atatürk's death, he asked all the units of Muslim League in India to he declared one particular date as the Kemal Atatürk Day and asked all the units to celebrate that day. I regard Quaid Azam as even bigger leader because Mustafa Kemal Atatürk had behind him a military. He was a lawyer who was a political architect. He was someone who engineered his way towards his destiny, and he was someone who knew the objective realities and where and when, what type of argument should be put in order to win the case. So this is my submission. Thank you very much. And now I will request Mr. Mushtaq Chhabra to tell us, he is doing a wonderful job, as has been mentioned. A very passionate person, a very motivated person who wants to do some good for the society. So I will ask him what Jinnah means to him and what is it that has, in a way, galvanized his spirits towards doing what he is doing.
Thank you, Professor. Thank you for putting me on the mat. I was expecting Dr. Umar to come up with magic words. Anyway, thank you. This august audience is really a very welcoming sort of talked about. So I honestly tell you that I'm not a student of history and I'm not an expert on history. I can only say this, that we are standing at a crossroad in Pakistan today, which is very shameful. Liaquat Bhai very eloquently said, not only have we forgotten all our heroes, but the man without whom we won't be sitting here. It won't be Pakistan. We would be still. We've seen what's happening in India today. And partly we are also to blame with the treatment we have meted out to the minority. However, let's not mourn today. Liaquat Bhai specifically told me that we should celebrate. We should celebrate the Quaid's ideals. And this is what we are here for. We should have hope, and the spirit should be to take Pakistan out of this rut which we have ourselves created. If you see this photograph, it's on my left and on your right, liberty, freedom and equality. This is what the father of the nation taught us. We have not been fair to his words of wisdom. We have not been fair to the real Pakistan. But it's still not everything is not lost. And I have so much faith in the youth of this country. I've done whatever I could by sort of starting off being one of the founders of the Citizens Foundation. But more importantly, what I have seen in the youth is there is hope and there is future and there is a spirit of change. Fossils which sit in front of you have failed. We have not done our bit enough. And I think that you should get up and stand up for your rights, for the rights of women, for the rights of equality, for the right of freedom. Pakistan is a... So my only advice to the youth, my only advice to my younger friends is that whenever you have the chance, nobody has the time to devote. Everybody's busy with their professions, their businesses, their studies. Time has to be taken. You take out that time. Half an hour a week, you're watching television. Take out that time, go out to the Kachi Abadi, go out to the slum, go out to the village, and see what these children who are less. You're very fortunate to be in schools. There are crores of children of Pakistan who do not have that opportunity to go to school. And I said, this is not their fault. It is the fault of our planners, it is the fault of us, that they have not been given an opportunity. So try to go out. If one of you goes and helps 10 children get into school, that's it. It's over. The problem is, so this is one simple advice I have for you children, that please take out time for your less privileged brothers and sisters. Secondly, we have a force within us. See, there's so many girls sitting down. Citizen Foundation started off with this premise. We will not open a school if the community does not allow the girl students to come in. And we have stuck to that idealism which is Pakistan. And no girl child, and I'll be proudly saying this, the 2,000 schools in Pakistan, right from Quaid to Mardan, have 50% girls and 50% boys. It was tough, it was difficult, but alhamdulillah we managed to be arrogant enough to do the right. So don't shy away from doing the right, what is right. The women are the builders of nations. The women are builders of society. We cannot overlook this point. That any nation which prospers will only prosper if the men and women stand side by side. So with that, I don't have too much to tell you about the guys, but I can only quote Stanley Walpert, that he says that a few individuals significantly alter the course of history. Fewer still modify the map of the world. Hardly anyone can be credited with creating a nation state. And that is our father of the nation, Muhammad Ali Jinnah, because he did all the three. Thank you.
Thank you, Chhata Sahib. And our next speaker is Dr. Quaid, very famous expert on international affairs and security matters. Dr. Huma and myself share the great honor of being teachers. And perhaps nature has done great favor to me, at least, that I am made a teacher. I not only deliver lectures to the students, I learn from the students, and it's a regular feature. Every single day I go home after learning something from my students. Dr. Amma.
बहुत बहुत शुक्रिया। अस्सलाम वालेकुम। मैं जिन्ना पे अथॉरिटी नहीं हूँ, लेकिन मैं जिन्ना से फैसिनेटेड हूँ और मेरा दिल चाहता है कि इस कमरे में बैठा हुआ हर बच्चा जिन्ना से फैसिनेट हो, क्योंकि जब हम जिन्ना पे तहकीक करते हैं तो हमें बहुत कम पाकिस्तानियों की किताब मिलती है जिन्होंने जिन्ना पे तहकीक करके किताब लिखी हो। Wolfert was just quoted. There is a book that has been published by Amina Sayyed, हमदानी ने वो किताब लिखी है, बहुत खूबसूरत किताब है, आसानी से पढ़ी जा सकती है। उसमें जिन्ना की बातें हैं कि वो कॉन्स्टिट्यूशनलिस्ट है, लेकिन इसमें बहुत उम्दा बात है। उसमें ये बात है कि जिन्ना इंसान है, he was a human being, and I think that was the greatest thing about Jinnah. He was a very good human being. और जब मेरी फैसिनेशन जिन्ना से आगे बढ़ती है तो मैं ये क्यों कहती हूँ? Ahead of his time. He was ahead of his time. It was his vision that won us this country. लेकिन इस मुल्क को उन्होंने हड़तालें करके नहीं बनाया, जेल जाके नहीं बनाया। इस मुल्क को उन्होंने दलील से बनाया, आर्ग्यूमेंट से बनाया, और एक ऐसा वक्त था कि सब उनके खिलाफ थे। कांग्रेस उनके खिलाफ थी, मुसलमान इंडिया के उनके बहुत खिलाफ थे, अपने लोग उनके बहुत खिलाफ थे, तो उनको नहीं, इसके बावजूद दलील का ही साथ लिया और आगे बढ़ाया। उनकी एक तकरीर है जिसका जिक्र अभी जाफर साहब ने भी किया, वो बहुत उम्दा तकरीर है उनकी, you're free to go to your temples, you're free to go to your mosques। बहुत अरसे तो हमने इस तकरीर को सामने नहीं आने दिया, खैर बहरहाल अब ये तकरीर सामने आई है। लेकिन इस तकरीर का एक और बहुत उम्दा पहलू है जो उससे बिल्कुल पहले आता है, اور اس میں اس تقریر میں یہ کہا گیا ہے کہ آپ پاکستان کی خدمت اس وقت تک نہیں کر سکتے جب پاکستان کے غربا اور پاکستان کے ماسس کا خیال نہ رکھیں. ہم نے کتنا کنوینئنٹلی وہ پارٹ بھول دیا, بلا دیا. ایک اور میں آپ سے گزارش کروں, یہ تقریر جو ہے جو آپ سنتے ہیں ریڈیو پہ جب اس کی آواز سنائی دی جاتی ہے, کبھی کبھی جب یاد آ جاتا ہے آئے اس ملک کے لوگوں کو, وہ تصویر وہ جو آواز ہے وہ فالس ہے. عائشہ جلال نے اس پہ تحقیق کی اور عائشہ جلال کی کتاب میں یہ لکھا ہے کہ سلنگی ایک آئے ہیڈ آف ریڈیو, اور انہوں نے کوشش کی کہ آرکائیوز میں سے وہ تقریر نکالیں, تو پاکستان کی آرکائیوز سے اسے ہٹا دیا گیا تھا. پھر انہوں نے انڈیا اپروچ کیا, انڈیا کے آرکائیو کو ہٹا دیا گیا تھا. میری ایک ہی گزارش ہے کہ یہاں پہ ینگ بچے بیٹھے ہیں, آپ کو ایک بہت ضروری کام کرنا ہے, آپ کو قائد پہ تحقیق کرنی ہے. کیونکہ ایک اور بات تھی جو مجھے ابھی کچھ ہی دنوں پہلے پتا چلی, that and I want others who are authorities on Quaid to comment on that. Quaid had drafted a constitution for Pakistan جو 70 سال سے ڈیکلاسیفائی نہیں ہوا. It is under wraps. کچھ کتابیں جو قائد پہ لکھی جاتی ہیں اس میں اس کی ریفرنس ہے. مجھے اور آپ کو یہ معلوم کرنا چاہیے کہ اس قائد نے اس کانسٹیٹیوشن میں کیا لکھا تھا. میں یہ نہیں کہہ رہی کہ اس کو کانسٹیٹیوشن کا حصہ بنائیں, لیکن میں یہ ضرور کہہ رہی ہوں کہ قائد کو اتنی تو عزت دیں کہ وہ صرف پاکستان کے نوٹوں پر اور دیواروں پر نہ ہو, میرے اور آپ کے دلوں میں ہو, اور ہم معلوم کریں وہ کہہ کیا رہے ہیں, وہ کرنا کیا چاہ رہے ہیں. دو باتیں اور جو اگر میرے پاس وقت ہے تو میں کہنا چاہوں گی, خواتین کے حوالے سے بات ہوئی. دیکھیے ایک دفعہ ایک تو آپ لوگوں کو پتا ہوگا کہ فاطمہ جناح جو تھی ان کو قائد نے ان کی تعلیم سپورٹ کی اور بہنوں کی نسبت اور ان کو آگے لائے. ایک جگہ قائد تشریف لے گئے تھے, وہاں علماء کی محفل تھی, میرا تو چاہے میں کو مولویوں کی محفل تھی. انہوں نے یہ کہا کہ آپ فاطمہ جناح صاحبہ کو اندر بٹھا دیجیے, اور عزت انہوں نے خواتین کو دی تھی. اور جو پوری مسلم لیگ کی موومنٹ ہے, میں آپ کو بتاؤں یہ بہت شروع کی بات ہے. میں نے بایوڈیورسٹی قائد ظہیر اس ٹائم, دس از 1939, ویمن ونگ کریٹ کیا. گھروں میں بزرگ عورتیں, ہم سمپل ہاؤس وائفز, ہماری مائیں جو شاید تعلیم یافتہ بھی نہیں تھی لیکن تحریک پاکستان سے ان کو قائد اعظم نے جوڑا تھا. ہم یہ شاید آج بھول گئے. ایک اور بات مجھے فیسنیٹ کرتی ہے قائد کے بارے میں, وہ یہ that you know Quaid was offered several titles all through his life, which included sir and which included doctor, and he declined and refused all of them. انہوں نے کہا میں صرف محمد علی جناح ہی ٹھیک ہوں, کیونکہ جو میں نے ارن نہیں کیا وہ ٹائٹل میں اپنے نام کے ساتھ لگاؤں گا. بہت ساری چھوٹی چھوٹی باتیں ہیں جو اگر ہم پڑھیں تو بہت ساری باتیں سمجھ میں آتی ہیں. He was ahead of his time. He was the champion of India in India of Muslim Hindu unity. تو ہمیں تحقیق کرنی چاہیے نا کہ ایک آدمی جو اتنا ahead of his time تھا, کیوں ٹو نیشن تھیوری کو آگے بڑھایا اور پاکستان کی بقا کی بات کی اور پاکستان کے انعقاد کی بات کی. لیکن جو سب سے بڑا نقصان ہم نے کیا ہے, کیونکہ میں اسٹوڈنٹ ہوں انٹرنیشنل ریلیشنز کی, جو قائد کا ویژن تھا انڈیا پاکستان ریلیشنز کا, جو گاندھی کا ویژن تھا انڈیا پاکستان ریلیشنز کا, وہ ہم نے دفن کر دیا. And we've become we've been an India-centric state. ہماری فورن پالیسی, ہماری سیکیورٹی پالیسی, تمام چیزیں ہوسٹیج ہیں اس دشمنی کی. اور آج انڈیا بھی وہ کھیل ہم سے زیادہ بڑا کھیل رہا ہے, لیکن نہ یہ قائد کا ویژن تھا اور نہ یہ گاندھی کا ویژن تھا. We need to revert to what the father of these nations wanted. Between India and Pakistan, Gandhi was assassinated by a Hindu extremist. Quaid is being forgotten by extremists in Pakistan. یہ بائی ڈیزائن ہے, جو ان کی بات نہیں ہوتی, ان کے بارے میں ذکر نہیں ہوتا, ان کا کہا ہوا اس طرح نہیں بتایا جاتا جس طرح بتانا چاہیے. We have selectively used religion in this country. We have selectively used Quaid in this country. We need to revert to getting to know. This generation needs to revert to getting to know the fire. That is where the future of Pakistan lies. एक बात फैज ने की थी, उस बात पे मैं बात अपनी खत्म करूँगी. You know, Faiz, Pakistan more than the demise of Gandhi. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Dr. Muna. She mentioned that the vision of Quaid as regards the international affairs is something we should dig out, and the India-Pakistan relations should be addressed in a different manner. I may mention that a few years back, Dilip Hairo had written a book called The Longest August. The Longest August. He says that partition took place in 47, some 70 plus years has passed since then, but both these countries are still living in the August of 1947. So we need to think about it. Our next speaker is Mr. Jimmy Engineer, an excellent, very prominent artist and painter of the country. I'll repeat the same question to him. What Jinnah means to you, sir? And have you taken any inspiration from Jinnah in your work? Thank you.
Thank you. Distinguished speakers, जो मुल्क कायदे-ए-आज़म ने बनाया उसका मैं नौकर कहता हूँ कि I am servant of Pakistan. Because for the last 48 years I have served this country exactly the way we should serve the humanity. कायदे-ए-आज़म शुरू में मिस्टर लियाकत मुचक ने कहा कि अखबारों में बहुत कम लिखा गया है कायदे-ए-आज़म. मैं कहता हूँ कि जो शख्स लोगों के दिलों में रहता है उसके बारे में लिखने की जरूरत ही नहीं है. और दूसरी बात ये है कि आज कायदे-ए-आज़म यहाँ आ जाए और मुल्क की तरफ देखे तो मेरा ख्याल है कि आपकी सबके देर में होना चाहिए कि वो क्या बोले. आई थिंक he would be the most disappointed person. जो उनकी विजन, जो उनका ड्रीम था, जो उनके अल्फाज थे, उसको पढ़ते हैं लेकिन अमल नहीं करते. मैं जब मुल्क में जगह जगह पे लोगों को देखता हूँ गुफ्तगू करते हुए, when they are talking in seminars, giving speeches, इनसे बेहतर कोई भी नहीं बोल सकता. मैं समझता हूँ कि दुनिया के बेहतरीन स्पीकर हो गया मेरे पास, लेकिन जब हम गुफ्तगू करते हैं, मैं समझता हूँ कि जो उन्होंने सोचा था what कायदे-ए-आज़म ने thought, वो तो कुछ हुआ ही नहीं. जो भी उनके ख्यालात थे उन पर किसी ने सही तरह अमल नहीं किया, या मैं समझता हूँ कि इस काबिल ही नहीं थे कि वो उनकी चीज़ों पर अमल कर. ठीक है, पार्टीशन हुआ, पाकिस्तान बना, वो मैंने पेंटिंग्स में क्रिएट किया. मैंने इसीलिए क्रिएट किया कि ये जो नौजवान बैठे हैं इनको कुछ सालों में पता ही नहीं चलेगा कि पाकिस्तान कैसे बना है, हाउ पाकिस्तान वाज क्रिएटेड. तो आई क्रिएटेड दोज पेंटिंग कि वो मैंने 70s में क्रिएट की थी कि वो न्यू जनरेशन उसको देखे और हो सके उसको देख कर पाकिस्तान की ज़्यादा इज्जत कि इतनी कुर्बानियाँ हुई, इतना खून बह गया ज़मीन में मुल्क बनने से. तो being a practical person, मैं कहता हूँ कि हमारे लीडर जो थे कायदे-ए-आज़म, उनसे बड़ा लीडर शायद कोई भी नहीं था. लेकिन अफसोस है, मैं आपको एक एग्जाम्पल देता हूँ. 70s में मुझे कहा गया कि एक रिलीफ बनाना बहुत बड़ा फ्रॉम जिन्ना टू, लेकिन वो KPT बनवा नहीं सकी क्योंकि जो वहाँ एक्सट्रीमिस्ट थे उन्होंने कहा ये बनने नहीं देगा. तो वहाँ उस वक्त के जो चेयरमैन थे उन्होंने मेरे से माजरत कर, उन्होंने कहा भाई सॉरी ये बना नहीं सकते. तो जिस मुल्क में हम फादर ऑफ द नेशन को इज्जत नहीं दे सकते सही तरीके से, तो वहाँ आप क्या एक्सपेक्ट करते हैं कि क्या होगा, कैसे होगा, ये मुल्क क्या किस तरफ जा रहा है, किस तरफ जाएगा। लोग कंपेयर करते हैं कि कायदे आज़म की सोच और जी उनकी सोच, फलाना की सोच। मैं कहता हूँ किसी की सोच मिलती नहीं है उनके साथ, किसी की इतनी इज्जत ही नहीं है, कोई इतना कतावर ही नहीं है कायदे आज़म जितना कि वो उनकी जगह ले ले और जी पाकिस्तान को आगे ले जाए। ये तो कंफ्यूजन है बहुत बड़ा, जो पता नहीं कब क्लियर होगा। लेकिन मैं समझता हूँ कि ये जो नौजवान बैठे हैं, यही होप है हमारे मुल्क 70 साल। बट आई एम ग्रेटफुल कि यहाँ मैं देख रहा हूँ कि सारे इतने एनलाइटेड लोग बैठे, इतने टैलेंटेड लोग बैठे हुए सारे। तो हम सोचते ज़रूर हैं लेकिन हम अमल नहीं कर सकते, हम उसको एक प्रैक्टिकल शेप नहीं दे सकते ख्यालात। और जो देने चाहते हैं, जो लोग देने चाहते हैं वो कर नहीं सकते, वो उस चीज़ को कंप्लीट नहीं कर सकते बिकॉज उनकी अपनी लिमिटेशन होती है, क्योंकि वो टाइप की तरह सच्चे नहीं हैं, सच नहीं बोल सकते एट एनी कॉस्ट। वो लोगों को डिप्लोमेटिकली समझाते हैं और डिप्लोमेसी पे चलता है काम। तो मैं समझता हूँ कि मुझे यकीन है कि एक दिन पाकिस्तान जरूर एक अजीम मुल्क बनेगा, क्योंकि जो लोग उसको चलाने के लिए आए हैं वो नई सोच लेके आएंगे और वो कायदे आज़म का ख्याल और दुख और दर्द अपने दिल में रख के इस मुल्क को आगे ले जाएंगे। बिकॉज आई डोंट थिंक कि और कोई तरीका है। तो मैं यहाँ आई एम ग्रेटफुल टू मिस्टर who invited me, but I told him at that time that I am not a scholar on Qaidism, I am a very practical person और मैं इस मुल्क के लिए काम करता हूँ। But thank you.
You have rightly indicated the difficulties surrounding this country and this nation, and a very frustrating environment we find ourselves in today. But I may also mention, particularly keeping in view that so many students are sitting here, that in all odds and adverse circumstances, people try to find their way. Pakistan was not made so easily. Quaid Azam had to carve out his way to make Pakistan a reality. I'm a student of politics and I know that politics is all about creating spaces. You will have to create spaces leading this country towards betterment and a better future. And I'm pretty sure that you are able to do that. Right, now I request Amina Sayyid Saiba, who needs no introduction, someone who has made us read so many books, very good books, and I think anyone who is a book lover or who has taken to books in order to improve one's intellectual capacity must have had the opportunity to read the books published by Amina Saiba.
Co-Vice Chairman of the Quaid Azam Museum and Institute of Nation Building, and Mr. Ikram Sehgal, Co-Vice Chairman of Quaid Azam House Museum and Institute of Nation Building, and Chairman of Karachi Council of Foreign Relations, distinguished speakers, students, guests, Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for inviting me to speak here, Jafar Saab. You know, I've always been fascinated by Jinnah's integrity. I mean, of course, his financial integrity, but his intellectual and moral integrity. I feel that he has set an example for us, and all we have to do is learn about it and follow it. And it is as simple as that. You know, for example, when he was Governor General, I mean, talking about his financial integrity, when he was Governor General, he refused to accept salary. He said that I was just doing my duty to my nation. so I'm not going to take a salary. And the way that he treated public money, it was sacred to him. He would never waste it or squander it, wouldn't spend it on his own official expenses, medical expenses, everything was paid for from his own pocket. He wouldn't entertain at the Governor General's house because he felt that he didn't want to spend public money or resources on that. He never accepted gifts or donations. He always rejected those. But having said that, he worked very hard. He was a brilliant lawyer and he negotiated in many ways. He invested very wisely. So actually through his hard work, through his honesty, through his wise decision, that is what he used for himself, that income. He dressed well, he lived well, but he worked hard to earn the money that he spent. And that is a lesson that we need to learn. There's a strange attitude here in Pakistan that it's not good to earn money. And I've heard that very often, that through publishing you're earning a lot of money, as if I'm doing something wrong. Not that I was anyway, you can't earn much through publishing, but whatever. It was as if we were doing something wrong, and that is not just for publishing. Any attitude, and I think this is something that we need to learn. There's nothing wrong in that. Work hard, earn your money and spend it. Of course, Quaid used to donate vast amounts to education, to health, to social welfare. But I also want to talk about his moral integrity a little bit. He advocated for the rights of Muslim minorities. And today you will see the article in Jang, written by Dr. Jafar Ahmad. It's on the full page, the importance of minorities. And he advocated for the Muslim minorities in India should get equal treatment. But of course, he fought for the Muslims, but he fought for other minorities and he respected their rights. And he always spoke about how important it is to live peacefully. And when Congress endorsed it, he resigned from Congress. And he just fought for the rights of minorities, not just Muslim minorities in India, but all minorities, for gender equality and for secular education. I just want to give a couple of quotes from others. Possibly his rivals. Gandhi said, "No power on earth can buy Jinnah." Sir Patrick Spence, who was India's last Chief Justice, said, "There is no man or woman living who imputes anything against Jinnah's honesty and integrity and honor." He said he was the most upright man I know. So as Liaquat Merchant Sahab said, that we need to spread the vision, the principles of Quaid-e-Azam, especially among our young people, and I'm so glad that all you wonderful students are here today. And I think this is something that Liaquat Sahab has been doing for decades, trying to spread the principles and vision of Quaid-e-Azam. And I felt it was very important to do it through the publication of books. We have a lot of role models in Pakistan. And we need to celebrate them and we need to shout from the rooftops about them so that our children know and learn about them and try to emulate them. And I began this a series of books on our role models that we published. And one of our authors, Rumana Hussain, is here. She wrote many of the books. And these were books for children, in English and in Urdu. Of course, we published books on Quaid-e-Azam, Liaquat Ali Khan, Begum Rana Liaquat, Miss Fatma Jinnah. But we also had some contemporary people in those books. We had people like Zabir Niazi, who was a journalist, but a journalist who could never be managed or controlled by anyone. He spoke the truth, no matter what, and suffered the consequences. And we wrote about, there was a book on Parveen Rahman that we published. And so I feel that it is very important that we have to let our children know, provide them with opportunities, of course through books, through literature festivals, through panel discussions such as this, so that they learn about our heroes. And I feel that, people who are, I think Mushtaq Chapra Sahab, Jimmy Engineer, I think they are all following the vision of Jinnah. We have so many people in our midst. And I feel that, we should not lose hope. We are always saying that, it's a failed state and people are leaving the country. No, that's not true. I think there are so many people who are staying here and working and following in the footsteps of Jinnah. There are many, many people, and we have to honor them and we have to talk about them, so that it's absolutely essential that we honor our current heroes, of course our past heroes, but also our current heroes. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Amina Zakia Sahiba. Now, before I ask Mr. Arif Bilgomi Saab to say whatever he wants to say, I must mention that after this we will be having a question-answer session. And in that session also, I will spend some time in asking the young students if they want to make any intervention in this whole program. So better wake up and be alert and think about where you are, what you are listening, and I'll not put very difficult questions to you. I'll simply ask how you feel to be here. Okay? Itni aasan sawal main aapse puchunga. Well, Mr. Arif Bilgomi Saab, an architect by profession, someone who has done a great deal of work in this field, and let's see what he says about the vision of Quaid or the Jinnah, and has that vision inspired him in his work. Thank you.
Pleasure to be here, ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls. Thank you. Now we have been left out or not, but I can only, I'm sitting in a panel here with such illustrious people that I don't even know why I'm here actually. But honestly, when I think about the Quaid, Quaid-e-Azam to me, more than just father of the nation, he's a bit of a role model. He's more than a bit of a role model, because before he became father of the nation, he was a very successful lawyer. He was a self-made man. He was, known for his honesty and integrity. He was, a professional. And I think those are the things that inspire me on a day-to-day basis when I think about how I conduct my own work, how I work in this country, where I have an office, I run a practice. And so, to me, he's that kind of an example. And I think that's the sort of thing that we should be thinking about. Because what has happened over the last 75 years is that we basically made Quaid-e-Azam this, he's a picture on a note, banknote, he's a picture on everybody's wall, you go into anybody's office, there are portraits of him. We got tremendous integrity, moral authority. He was just one of those people that, you could read about him for the rest of your life, and there's the examples that you would want to emulate in your own work. It's a shining example. Okay, so I think, briefly I would say that you should all read about him, learn about him, and try to be like him. Okay, in your everyday life. I mean, obviously, we are not going to be, creating a new nation, but we are going to make this country what it was meant to be, right? बहुत काम है बाकी, तो काम शुरू ही नहीं हुआ है। किस तरह करेंगे? हम उस तरह करेंगे जिस तरह क़ायद ने अपना क्या कहते हैं, अपना काम किया, उन्होंने अपनी जिंदगी manage करी, अपना काम है। He was a superb lawyer. So, other lawyers used to be scared of arguing against him. He was so good. So that's the best you can do, is to try and be like Quaid-e-Azam in your life as you craft your career and you go out and learn. And I think that's, to me, that's the message that I would convey to history, and how important and how unbelievably unique it is that a new country was carved out of a colonial empire without fighting. Through negotiation, through discussions, through lots of debates, and we didn't fight for this country. This country was literally given to us because of Quaid-e-Azam's efforts. Okay, if you look around history, look at all the other countries. That there were dozens of countries that were liberated when colonialism ended. Algeria fought for years. For years they fought the French. Vietnam, 20 years of Vietnam War, all sorts of things happened and people tried to shed their colonial shadows. And Pakistan is this huge country, and we just got it because the Quaid had that power of his conviction and the ability to convince people. And I think, please take him as a shining example that will guide you as you find your path in the world. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Adil Saab. Now we will open the floor for questions. Just get into conversation with the youths and the youngsters. I had already mentioned that I would like to get your opinion, how you feel to be here. आप लोग यहाँ आए, आपको आना कैसा लगा? और ये मैं आपको बता चुका हूँ कि आप इतनी अहम जगह पे बैठे हुए हैं. तो कौन बताएगा? Raise your hand. आप? Okay. Say your name first.
My name is Naz Khan. I'm from PCS Girls School. I would like to thank you, all of you, for letting us come here to this historical place and letting us listen to you, all of you. And I would like to thank you all firstly for reminding us that Jinnah was a person, because I think it has become very easy to forgive ourselves for not doing what Jinnah would have wanted us to do, just because we think that man was just a picture and somebody that just came down from heaven. But he's not, but he's actually a human being.
Yeah.
So we should be able to do this well.
Good, very good. Can you bring here?
Miss Danish.
Ms. Danish. Okay, you're teacher of PCHS. I request you to bring these children one day again here and show them all these pictures and show them the whole place. It's a very historic place, and the students will learn a lot from the inscriptions and the pictures and the pictures themselves. They will learn about the type of person Quaid-e-Azam was. For example, मैं आज तक उस तस्वीर की तलाश में हूँ जिसमें Quaid-e-Azam का ये बटन खुला हुआ हो. वो इतनी अपनी पर्सनल लाइफ में इतने ज़्यादा I would say he was such a decent person कि अगर शेरवानी या बंद कॉलर नहीं होता था तो या वो होती थी या टाई होती थी. इवन पिकनिक बना रहे हैं और एक जगह पत्थर पे सर लगा के और लेटे हुए हैं, उधर भी उन्होंने टाई बांधी हुई है. तो इस दैट टाइप ऑफ पर्सन. और कोई बच्चा आप में से कुछ बोलेगा?
Surely plan a visit.
Sure.
Thank you.
बिल्कुल आइए यहाँ. जी बेटा बोलो.
Assalamu alaikum. Thank you so much for the opportunity. My name is Abhyanuddin and I am from St. Michael's Convent School. So basically, why I took the liberty to answer is in response to your question how it feels to be here. So apart from of course feeling very privileged and honored to be in the company of such eminent people, such eloquent speakers, basically the thing which I am feeling over here is that a sense of connection to the Quaid. A sense of connection which I have never been able to experience before. because of course this event, it has been organized in such a way, this place, of course, as you mentioned, this setting, it's a very historic place, the property of the guy, he used to, knowing that he has walked through this place before, or was it Fatma Jana, I think? It was Fatma Jana, but of course knowing a property which is associated with him, the guy's loyal supporter, she walked over here and we are seated over here, and of course this event, everything, it has been organized in such a way that it brings the remote idea which we have heard for so long, this remote figure, it just brings that figure to life, and I feel that I am one with the guy right now.
My feeling.
Yeah.
Firstly, I'd like
Your
to
name, your name.
clarify.
Sarah Fatma from
Nasra.
Nasra. Okay.
Firstly, I'd like to know the name of the book that you mentioned about
Jinnah.
It's called
Alright. Jinnah Alive.
यासिर लतीफ़
यासिर लतीफ़ की किताबें जरूर पढ़िए बहुत
It's an excellent book. There are traits of Jinnah's life which have not been reported by other authors. I mean, there is one segment of that book that tells that the women who played very important role in Jinnah's life, his mother, his wife, his sister, and he has written quite in detail about it.
You know, I met the author and I interviewed him for the book. Amina had invited me to do that. He even dresses up like Jinnah. So you really need to read. That's how much he's internalized him. So you must read that book. In fact, if we could invite him someday here.
Sure.
It's like as students, we often forget, like since we read so much about him, we forget that he's also just a human being like us. Before everything else, he was still a human being. And if he can do it, we can also try to become like him. And that, the thing that you mentioned here, that made me realize that he's still a human being, and that motivates me to become more like him and at least try to be more.
You know, we have a tendency to prophetize people. If you prophetize them, then you make them unreachable and you can't relate to them. Jinnah was a human being. He had integrity, yes, but at the end of the day, he was just a very good human being. All of us can strive to be that.
When you read someone on paper, you idolize them to the point where they seem like a myth. They seem like a myth to you that they're maybe made up. But at the end of the day, they're not.
Jinnah is a reality, Pakistan is a reality, you are a reality.
That's right. Okay, there are a number of myths built around him, but he was a human being, and historians have told us that Jinnah also wept. When the body of Rafi Jinnah was lowered, he had tears in his eyes. When he visited those regions of Karachi where the Hindus were killed by angry mobs in November 1947, Jinnah made a visit of that place. He had tears in his eyes, and he issued a statement that was issued from the Governor General House, asking the Muslims of Karachi not to do it. Okay? Right. और कोई आप किसी yes.
Assalamualaikum. I'm Sunasha Iqbal from Jinnah Foundation School. Firstly, thank you so much for letting us to come here. Actually, after this all the conversation, I knew that he's a person who empowered us, who makes us to say, yes, I can do it. There's nothing impossible for women or a man. There's nothing change in between us. We all are same. We all have the same rights. We all have the same opportunities. He made us to do anything. Nothing is impossible for us.
That's great.
Two things, the question. Before coming here, like a lot of people, I was hopeless.
that I was hopeless in a way. We can see क्या हालात हैं हमारे मुल्क के. A lot of people, I see a lot of people who are hopeless. I was kind of hopeless in the same sense. But after you people have enlightened us with all the knowledge you had, I feel like we have a future. We can have a future if we work. मैं लोगों के चेहरे में मायूसी देखती हूँ रोज कि वो मायूस है, मतलब पाकिस्तान में कुछ नहीं बचा. But now I feel like there is a lot we can do, and we have to do it. No one else is going to do it.
Yes. Can a mic be sent there? इधर ये वाला mic. जी. Your name?
My name is Amara Yasser. I'm from Habib Girls School, and I would like to express my gratitude to you all the panelists, for showing so much confidence in the youth and giving us like advice for our future and something that would stay with us our whole lives. And this experience I would remember it for like eternity and until I die. So thank you.
Okay, that's great.
Dr. Sir, can I just say a word? I'm a Habibian. Can I please ask a question?
Just a second, we take 8 minutes. इनके बाद Yes.
So first of all, Assalamu alaikum everyone. First of all, I would like to thank all the panelists for sharing their thoughts. Aside from being privileged to be a part of such historical place and having such sharing the thoughts with such privileged people, all aside that, what disappoints me is that how the people of the nation treat such a founder, such a person who almost sacrificed all his life. Or it leaves me wondering, like, what if I spend my whole life doing something for my people, and this is how they treat me. Aside from being privileged and happy to be a part of such conference, this thought saddens me a lot. But I hope our youth will make a change, and I would personally also work to bring a change and make a better Pakistan.
So, first of all, I would like to thank you all for having us here. We are students from the Malabar Girls School. We are very privileged to be here and to be amongst speakers like you and to learn about the founder of our nation. So, my question is more addressed towards like the scholars of history. Jinnah was such an amazing political leader and everything. But with Jinnah as such a political and moral role model amongst them, why were his successors unable to uphold his legacy, even after that?
आपने सवाल किया है, मुश्किल सवाल मुझे ले लिया। मेरे पास तो सिर्फ एक ही जवाब बेटा, हम शर्मिंदा हैं। We've used it selectively. जिस तरह मैंने अपने जब आपसे बात करी थी उस वक्त कहा था, इस मुल्क का अलमिया यह है कि हमने यहाँ मजहब भी अपनी ज़रूरत के तहत इस्तेमाल किया। जहाँ हमें मजहब की सूट करता है वहाँ हमने इस्तेमाल किया। 4 शादियाँ तो याद है, लेकिन औरत को हिस्सा देना है उस क्या कहते हैं उसको, जायदाद में हिस्सा देना है, ये किसी को याद नहीं है, ठीक है जी। इसी तरह Quaid के साथ, so we respected him, we made him wear a Jinnah cap and a sherwani which he only probably wore once or twice in his entire life. We put him up on walls and we have them on the note जिसमें हम हर वक्त बेईमानी करते हैं और रिश्वत करते हैं. So we used it selectively. इसीलिए मैंने आपसे कहा था तहकीक कीजिए, जिन्ना को जानिए और फिर जिन्ना की लेगेसी आप आगे ले जाइए, आप लोगों के हाथ में.
और कोई is there any question? अच्छा, कितना छोटा था बच्चा? Yes, get down. Just pass it down.
Okay, so my name is Muhammad Rahman Shafi and I'm from Roots Millennium School from Baria town, and I would just like to say one thing. Why don't we just follow footsteps? We should just follow footsteps of Quaid-e-Azam.
We should.
very right, and we should all follow the footsteps of Quaid. You are very right. Though it's a bit difficult also, but we must accept all the challenges and decide what is right and what is wrong in life, and the right course should be taken by us. और कोई अच्छा आप बहुत बेसिक है. After this we'll move on.
My name is Raveen Abid and I'm also from PCHS Girls School. I just wanted to say how honored I feel sitting in between all of you. You're so learned and experienced, and I learned so much from you. I just wanted to add that everything is in front of us. You mentioned about a book, but ज़्यादातर लोग पढ़ते नहीं हैं. हमारे सामने तो वो है, लेकिन उस चीज़ को जानने के लिए जो एक पैशन होता है ना, वो नहीं है हमारे अंदर. And that is what Jinnah taught us long ago, to struggle for something you really want, and because of him we are living in a country जहाँ हम जो चाहे कर सकते हैं. I just wanted to add this. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. जिन्ना को जानने के लिए आप अपनी एफर्ट करें. Don't rely on what the media tells you. You are very, I would say, privileged generation that you have YouTube in front of you, you have laptops, all that. So try to discover Jinnah's yourself and you will reach the right conclusion. I'll just go to the back and I'll take questions from. Yes, ma'am.
I just want to say that this is wonderful, Mr. Merchant. Correct me if I'm wrong. It's very sad that newspapers have forgotten or haven't mentioned it. So what I want to ask you is, apart from the COVID era, have you had this sort of function before? If not, why not? Because this used to be a very active place at one time. The other thing is that we're talking in innuendos. Who stopped the speeches? Why were the archived? Why did they disappear? These are the things we want to know, and it's been happening from day one, and it's still going on. Now we know, but earlier on, who was it that was doing all this? Please enlighten us. Thank you.
The less said, the better. But it is now, we have intangible evidence that not just his speech, but the constitution that he drafted and various other notes that he made were by design not allowed to be made public, just the way Hamoud al-Rahman report was selectively published, just the way Ojri Camp report was selectively published. The list goes on.
Okay.
Can I? Assalamualaikum. I'm from St. Paul's English High School, but the problem is that I graduated in '82. So, but the thing is that every single day you're in constant learning phase. My name is Ahmed, and I would first of all like to say that the people who have been sitting in front of me had this kind of a mindset that's been prevailing in this country, probably would not be in the situation in which we are here right now. I think when I go back during my school days, there was a lot of patriotism among the people, among the students. There were television programs. We used to have black and white television, and we have got million नब्बे होते थे किसी ज़माने में. आपने वो million नब्बे का concept अब ज़माने से खत्म हो गया. कायद के साथ ही प्रोग्राम आता था. इसमें कायद आज़म के जो साथ ही लोग होते थे, बच्चे बैठे होते थे, सवाल कर रहे थे. उस चीज़ों से लोगों को समझने में, एक चीज़ों को अंडरस्टैंड करने में आसानी होती थी. एक कॉन्सेप्ट होता था जो कि लोग याद रखते थे. क्या ये हमारी एजुकेशन सिस्टम का कसूर है कि हमने उस चीज़ों को वक्त के साथ साथ उसको हम इरेडिकेट करते चले गए? और अगर हम इरेडिकेट करते चले गए तो who's to blame for that? We cannot say हम अगर हम जर्नल बात करते हैं और कहते हैं कि जी कायदा कोई नहीं जानता. ऑनेस्टली इसकी रिस्पॉन्सिबिलिटी हम सबकी है. हमने ही उनको अपनी उससे निकलवा दिया.
Thank you very much. If you allow me, I would take the liberty to answer you. میں آپ سے with due respect اختلاف کروں گا. میرا کہنا یہ ہے کہ پیٹریوٹزم بہت اچھی چیز ہے, لیکن پیٹریوٹزم کے روٹ سے اگر آپ ریالٹی تک پہنچنا چاہتے ہیں تو ضروری نہیں ہے کہ آپ ریالٹی تک پہنچیں. آپ ریالٹی کے روٹ سے پیٹریوٹزم تک پہنچنے کی کوشش کریں. دیٹ ول بی دا رائٹ وے. پیٹریوٹزم تو بہت ہے اس ملک میں. ڈے ون سے بہت یہاں پہ پیٹریوٹک سانگس بھی بنتے ہیں. ہر 14 اگست پہ ہم دیکھتے ہیں کیا کچھ ہو رہا ہوتا ہے پورے ملک میں, لیکن ہمارے بچے جو ہیں وہ ریالٹی سے پھر بھی واقف نہیں ہوتے. ہمارے ایک بڑے سینئر پروفیسر صاحب تھے, اردو ادب کے بہت بڑے نقاد تھے, ڈاکٹر محمد علی صدیقی صاحب. انہوں نے ایک گفتگو میں ایک دفعہ کہا کہ آپ لوگ اندازہ نہیں کر سکتے کہ اس ریاست کا کتنا پیسہ خرچ ہوتا ہے لوگوں کو بے خبر رکھنے کے لیے. تو میرا کہنا یہ ہے کہ لیٹس ہیو ڈیموکریٹک انوائرمنٹ, لیٹ آور یوتھ ڈسکور دیئر ریالٹی, help them, facilitate them, but don't feed them any patriotic thing in the beginning. They will become patriots themselves. Acha, yes ma'am.
Thank you for this opportunity. That's what I can say. Just to be here. میرا ایک سوال ہے, مجھے پتا ہے کہ یہاں پر اس وقت میں ہم جی آواز آتی ہے, جس وقت میں ہم جی رہے ہیں مجھے پتا ہے کہ زبان بندی از دا نارم, لیکن آپ نے بہت ٹیلنگ بات بتائی ہے آج ریگارڈنگ کانسٹیٹیوشن. Because ever since I was a child, مجھے ہمیشہ یہ چیز جو قائد اعظم کی فیسنیٹ کرتی تھی کہ he was very methodical man. کوئی بھی چیز انہوں نے انپلانڈ نہیں کی ہے. جیسے میری امی کہا کرتی انہوں نے کانسٹیٹیوشنلی پاکستان کا کیس جیتا. تو ایسا شخص ظاہر ہے یوں ہی پاکستان کو بے آسرا نہیں چھوڑ سکتا. Now that draft that you have mentioned, ہم جیسے لوگ, ہمارے بچے جو بیٹھے ہیں, ہم کہاں پہ وہ لیڈس لیں جہاں پر ہم اس چیز کو ڈھونڈ سکیں یا ڈھونڈ سکیں, کیونکہ یہ تو بہت ہمیں کہا جاتا ہے کہ یہ چیزیں ہیں they're now in the knowledge, but where do we go to seek that knowledge?
Actually, I did not think this was create a debate. میں نے ایک دو جگہ اس کے بارے میں پڑھا جو fleetingly mentioned ہے, لیکن پھر I didn't find it anywhere. جب میں نے اس پہ جو ریسرچ کی اس میں لارجلی جو چیز آتی ہے وہ 5 کے 14 پوائنٹس آتی ہیں. It could be کہ the constitution that we refer to is the 14 points are it. کیونکہ مجھے لیکن 2 کتابیں ہیں جس میں ایک کتاب تو of course یہ ہمدانی کی ہے جس میں وہ یہ ریفر کرتے ہیں, but this needs to be investigated. So I'm not an authority to say that this was there or why was it not there, but there are 2 sources where it is referred to. تو اس لیے میں نے اپنے بچوں سے کہا تھا, اور ہمیں آپ کو تحقیق کرنے کی ضرورت ہے نا, ہمیں تو ان پر بتاتا ہے قائد کیا ہے, ہمیں ڈسکور کرنا چاہیے نا قائد کون ہے.
رائٹ, تھینک یو ویری مچ. مجھے ایک نوٹ آ چکا ہے کہ آئی ہیو ٹو وائنڈ اپ ناؤ, تو آپ اوکے چلیے لاسٹ کوشچن آپ کر لیں.
I wanted to ask, اتنے سارے لیڈرز ابھی تک گئے ہیں, ان میں سے کوئی تو ہوگا جس نے قائد اعظم کی تھوڑی سی لیڈ فالو کی ہوگی.
میرا خیال یہ ہے کہ ہم ایک سینسزم بھی ہمارے معاشرے میں بہت ہے کہ ہم ہر چیز سے انکار کر دیتے ہیں کہ یہ بھی غلط ہوا, یہ بھی غلط, یہ بھی. آئی تھنک جو فرسٹ جنریشن لیڈرز ہمارے تھے, پولیٹیشینس کی جو گڑبڑیں آپس کی ہوتی ہیں وہ ان میں تھیں, لیکن there were certain very good people. I would mention حسین شہید سہروردی جو ایک کانسٹیٹیوشنل لائر خود بھی تھے, وہ پاکستان کے وزیر اعظم رہے, اور جیسے ڈاکٹر صاحبہ کہہ رہی تھی کہ قائد اعظم اپنے وقت سے بہت پہلے پیدا ہو گئے. سہروردی بھی بگر پرسن, انہوں نے وقت میں ساتھ بچا تھا. خواجہ ناظم الدین, کوئی ان کے اوپر کرپشن کا کیس نہیں ہے, he was an honest person. سردار عبدالرحمن بشتر کے اوپر کوئی کرپشن کا کیس نہیں ہے, کوئی الزام نہیں ہے. तो मेरा ख्याल ये कि ऐसा नहीं है कि सब लोग बहुत बुरे हैं। हमारे एक गवर्नर ऐसे भी थे जो ईस्ट पाकिस्तान में गवर्नर नामजद हुए और फिर यहाँ से कराची वॉज द कैपिटल, यहाँ से मैसेज किया कि जी बस अब आप आ जाएं, हम दूसरा गवर्नर जनरल सिकंदर मिर्जा को भेज रहे हैं। You know the last thing that person came before leaving the governor house, उन्होंने जेब में से अपना कलम निकाला और दवात में वो सरकारी स्याही वापस डाली और वो कलम बंद करके जेब में रखा और गाड़ी में बैठे और एयरपोर्ट चले गए। हमारे पास बड़े ऑनेस्ट ईमानदार पॉलिटिशियंस गुजरे हैं और हर दौर में गुजरे हैं। अनफॉर्चुनेटली हमारे यहाँ एक ऐसा माहौल बना दिया गया है कि सारे पॉलिटिशियंस बुरे हैं और सारे दूसरे लोग बहुत अच्छे हैं। तो मेरे ख्याल में ये ब्लैक एंड वाइट तारीख नहीं होती। तारीख के अंदर आपको अच्छे और बुरे, गुड बॉय बैड बॉय दोनों अलग नजर होते हैं।
है कि रात को प्राइम मिनिस्टर हाउस में जाके बत्तियां बंद करते थे और अगर लोग ये कहते थे, मजाक करते थे कि देखें अगर ये लंच पे बुलाएं तो हम पहले घर से खाना खा के जाते हैं क्योंकि वहाँ दाल रोटी मिलती है। तो प्राइम मिनिस्टर हाउस में बिल्कुल सादा खाना होता था, लेकिन जब अब वो उनके आप घर पे जाएं उनके गांव में तो वहाँ लैविश फीस्ट, वो उनका अपना पैसा था, लेकिन पब्लिक मनी वो भी ज़ाया नहीं करते थे।
Okay, thank you very much. I can see there are so many hands. People want to ask questions. लेकिन जो हमारे पास टाइम था, we have crossed that boundary. A couple of things. First of all, I would say that all these students who have come here with their teachers, I'll ask the teachers to bring them back again, take time from this Quaid House Museum and let them visit this whole building, let them take, ये वो घर है जहाँ फातिमा जिन्ना रही, ये वो घर है जहाँ से उन्होंने सदारती इलेक्शन लड़ा और ये वो घर है, she was about 70 in 1964-65 जब इलेक्शन हो रहे थे और who came here to suggest her to become the candidate of opposition against Ayub Khan. Khaja Nazimuddin, the second Governor General and the second Prime Minister of Pakistan, Chaudhry Muhammad Ali, the former Prime Minister of Pakistan, Nawabzada Nasrullah Khan and Sheikh Mujibur Rahman. They came here, convinced her, took her approval, they went back to the house of Hussain Sheikh Sohrawardi, who had died by then, but his daughter used to live there, Begum Akhtar Suleiman. The rest of the opposition was waiting about what these people would come with, and when they went there and told that Fatima Jinnah has finally agreed to become the candidate, there was rejoicing and the light went off because whenever opposition out. So Begum Akhtar Suleiman had managed Laltans there. And when they came and opposition leaders told the rest of the opposition that Fatima Jinnah has agreed, they were rejoicing and there was blackout and the Laltans were, brightened and अगले ही लम्हे ये हुआ कि अयूब खान ने अपना सदारती निशान गुलाब का फूल बनाया हुआ है, फातिमा जिन्ना का इंतखाबी निशान क्या हो। तो अंधेरे में लालटेनें जल रही थी, किसी का लालटेन became the symbol of Fatima Jinnah. So thank you very much and it was a very, very interesting, intellectually stimulating meeting. And hats off to all of you for being here. Thank you.
About him, Ikram has had a distinguished career in the army, Pakistan Army. He is a very successful businessman. He has been the chairman of the Karachi Council on Foreign Relations, and he is part and parcel, along with me, in the management and control of Quaid House Museum. We are both vice chairman of the board of management. And he's played a very important role in, both of us have worked together hand in glove in securing this property from the Sindh government for use for these purposes, like to spread Jinnah's principles, ideals and vision. With these few words, I'll invite Ikram Sehgal to give his concluding remarks.
One of the endearing things I find of not being an intellectual is that intellectuals have very selective memory. Professor Jafar Pas's remark about the military. One thing which people do not talk about, why Pakistan, how it came about, is when Gandhi started the Quit India movement in 1942 and said nobody shall join the British armed forces. The Quaid gave a call that Muslims must join. And among them was my father, who was a medical student. Muslims joined in great quantity. During World War II, almost half the people who died in various operations were Muslim. When it came to Pakistan, the British armed forces hierarchy fought against Churchill, who didn't want, of course, first of all, India, but also said that this is something we owe them, because they are the ones who came and joined the British Indian Army when it was needed. So please remember that, do not forget that. Number one, so the military, but in the sense at Quaid's call. And how did the Quaid respond? The Quaid responded by something which I am very proud to say, that on 11 September 1965, I was in the military academy, including Commodore Sadid Malik, and the order that we gave there was, he first said the PMA will have the 1st Pakistan Battalion. It will be known as the 1st Pakistan Battalion, and it will be known as Quaid-e-Azam's own. So till today, the 1st Pakistan Battalion is known as Quaid-e-Azam's own, right? And I had the honor on 11 September 65 to take over the battalion and call out the command as 1st Pakistan Battalion, Quaid-e-Azam's own. So let us not be talking about a lot has been said, and I will tell you that one of the great things in life has been that when we set out to do this institution in a main building, and we turned at that time as kids that there is place here, and long story short, we approached Liaquat, who was also a member of KCF, but also the head of Jinnah Society, and we came, and today you're sitting in front of us because of that initiative that was taken, and because of that other thing. I did it for two purposes. Because Liaquat is not only a descendant of the Quaid-e-Azam, he's a true disciple of the Quaid-e-Azam. You know, I can tell you that most decisions are debated. You know, we do not agree mostly, but in the end, we come to some solution, and the solution is for the betterment of Pakistan. Ladies and gentlemen, all is not doom and gloom. Despite the bad leadership we've had, the corrupt leadership we've had, we are in Pakistan today. We are in Pakistan today. And let me tell you something about this Pakistan. The fourth largest cotton industry and raw cotton in the world. The 5th largest rice producing country in the world. The 6th largest milk producing country in the world. The 7th largest wheat producing country in the world. We have developed a missile system, we have developed a nuclear deterrent, and we have the means to deliver them. That is the only Muslim country in the world. So how has it happened? Today, we are the beneficiaries of what the Quaid struggled for. Yes, a lot of problems, a lot of crisis. But this crisis, despite that crisis, we are today a resilient nation. We have mostly gone through this crisis and still going through the process. But these youth here, you will take us out and you will develop us into a vibrant nation. We are in our 70s and 80s and we'll die off. And we've made a lot of mistakes. But what you do for this country will be what will define the future of the destiny of our nation. So let's not get carried away just by doom and gloom, right? We are sitting, a lot of us, very comfortable today because much more comfortable than 43 million people, right? And we have about maybe 70 to 80 million people below the poverty line. That is about 1/4 almost. India has more than 60% people below the poverty line, right? The south of India is developed. Go to Bihar, go to United Provinces, go to most places in Bengal, and that. Now, I talk about the vision of the Quaid. The two things which people know, he was very pragmatic. In 1945, Sarwardi, Qazi Fazlul Haq, and all, they went to him and said, if we have two parts, two states, like we had in the original Lahore resolution, states, autonomous states, not state, autonomous states, we will have, the Bengal will all come to us, Bengal, Assam, the port of Calcutta, everything will come to us, including all this thing. The Quaid readily agreed and said, okay, go and negotiate. When the British found and the Indians found that the vote in the West Bengal Assembly against this idea, that idea would be that thing. So they scuttled the idea. So Pakistan hierarchy at that time came together and said, okay, then we go for one Pakistan. Even a truncated Pakistan, divide Punjab, divide Bengal, right? Let Assam be. And listen to what they did. They gave away Gurdaspur. If they had not given a Gurdaspur a Muslim majority province, Kashmir would have been automatically with Pakistan. They gave away Kishannagar, Darjeeling, and etc. If they had not done that, Assam would have been a natural part of East Pakistan at that time. So there are history which goes on, but see the irony of it. And Mr. Modi yesterday, he took the G20 leaders to the memorial of Gandhi. His ancestors, the RSS, killed Nathuram Godse, killed Gandhi, assassinated. We forget that. Everybody is quite, but they forget. Hypocrite was taking him to that thing. So let's not kid ourselves. We are fighting against against people who make up things, who in the social media, now with the social media going, things happen, and you can make fake into fake things, false things into true, and true things into false. I have nothing more to add except two things which I think, if Liaquat will permit me, and we decided about that. We wanted, seeing the response here everywhere, we wanted to talk about in the Institute of Nation Building, Women Empowerment Wing. Women Empowerment Wing, which we have, inshallah, we'll have very soon, right? And that is there. And there are other initiatives which are happening. We intend having an underground audiovisual center and a library. One of the top architects who is a member of the INB is working on it, Mr. Akil Bilbrami, and etc. But I will end by saying that look at that, what you did, what you've done selflessly for this country. And Jimmy Engineer, of course, I didn't knowing you personally, but of course I've seen your work and admired it. And Professor Jafar, and of course Amina Saeed, the amount of work he's done for Oxford University Press, and towards imparting education and proper education. And of course Dr. Huma Bakai, I've been associated with a long time, and we think alike on a lot of things, and we disagree about a lot of things, but I respect that because that is what is required. I leave with only one message. A lot of you do not know that I was the first Pakistani prisoner of war to escape from India. 1971. The first one. And the first thing that occurred to me when I came back was, thank you, Pakistan, for being my country.
I think that brings us to the end of the event here. And Commodore retired Saeed Malik will give a vote of thanks, after which you are all invited to have a cup of tea with us. The kids, of course, will get something cooler, a cool juice, and we'll share biscuits and tea. So, Commodore Malik.
Thank you. Perhaps it would have been slightly establish what our Vice Chairman had planned, to have a state-of-the-art auditorium underground, but so far it remains to be planned. Thank you very much, Senior Vice Chairman Ikram Sehgal, Liaquat Merchant, he is our Senior Vice Chairman. Chairman is not here today because Chairman is Chief Minister and the government is finished. Thank you very much, Dr. Huma Bakai, for giving us all the information. Thank you very much, Amina Saeed, Dr. Jafar, Professor Jafar, Engineer Saab. Thank you very much, Mushtaq Chapra. We keep holding these such specific functions over here for a specific school. Between 50 to 60 children are invited. Last time we have had those children about the will of Jinnah. You might have, we had given it in the newspapers, you might have read it. Quaid had given in his will very affectionately 50 rupees per month to her sisters. Very affectionate, and at that time gold was 42 rupees a tola. To his brother 100 rupees, very affectionately for this thing. And he had given 35,000 rupees to Muslim Aligarh University. Another university in Bombay, 35,000 rupees. Islamic College, Peshawar, and Sindh Madrasatul Islam, another this much amount. He was for education. And why I'm mentioning it, that legacy is being carried out by that man in that corner, Mushtaq Chapra. We are now in Board of Management of Quaid House. We are now concentrating on the younger generation. Thank you very much, boys and girls. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for coming and honoring us this time. I hope next time when you come, we have a larger auditorium. We can space you all. Thank you very much. Peace of God.